Good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Josh White. I lead the producer education team here at NCBA. We're happy you chose to spend a little time with us tonight as we talk about cattle weights and data and how to manage cattle better, which is very often the focus of these webinars. Just a few quick reminders. Your line is muted, but there is a questions functionality in your little toolbar there. If you have questions as we go along, feel free to drop those in. We'll have time for those at the end of the webinar tonight, and we'll try to get to all of those. It's my pleasure to introduce tonight guest speaker Ray Williams. He's the Director of Technical Operations, Learning, and Development at Gallagher Animal Management. He's based out of Kansas City. He's worked with hundreds of producers over the years to help them capture data through EID, utilize weighing systems and information systems that really helps improve their performance for their overall programs. And he's basically the guru of cattle weight systems. So we're super excited to have him. A lot of technical expertise here. He's spoken at a lot of conferences and writes articles for trade publications. So you've probably heard from him one way or another in the past, but we're looking forward to hearing from him tonight. So Ray, you can take it away.
All right. Well, thanks, Josh. I appreciate that, and I'm very happy to be with all of you tonight. And we're going to talk about something that's pretty dear and dear to my heart, about weighing cattle and weighing animals in general. It's just such an important thing. And over the many years that I've traveled the country and asking producers about the different methods and what do they like to know about their animals, and introducing weighing concepts to them for the first time and getting them going, it's just really been a joy. And in today's piece, I wanted to cover some key pieces of weighing and EID and just gathering data at chute side. So we'll go over the key elements of a weigh system, the key benefits of weighing, and other traits and activities and life data to capture, and how often you should weigh your animals, and where cattlemen sometimes miss the boat by not weighing. And of course, at the end, I'll give you some Gallagher solutions to think about, and then of course, questions and answers. So gosh, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions as we get along here. So, weighing cattle is an important management tool within any herd. It provides accurate animal-specific performance data, which allows farmers to make the best and better informed decisions, helping to improve both the productivity and the efficiency of any cattle herd. Modern systems today, modern scale systems typically are comprised of about 4 different components. You obviously have a squeeze chute, and you might even entertain the possibility of doing it behind the squeeze chute with an alleyway. But the 4 components, as you can see, are a squeeze chute, load bars that go underneath the squeeze chute, an EID reader, and then of course the weigh scale head itself. And then the same for an alleyway system, you would have the alleyway platform, and there's many forms of these platforms, and even some manufacturers that manufacture chutes have their own platform, and we're very fortunate to be able to offer an alleyway load bar that will fit under most platforms in the market. Plus, if you don't have one, of course, we can supply you one that allows you to use about an 8-foot section behind the squeeze chute. And people that use those kinds of units are looking to maybe do a mobile system, or they have an older squeeze chute that they're not really comfortable lifting off the ground and putting, load bars or load feet underneath them. So, but that's the basics of that. And so I wanted to get into the specifics of why we do this and why we weigh animals. The key benefits. We want to monitor animal performance. Regularly weighing cattle and their performance to be assessed. It's the information that can be used to highlight whether animals are meeting their average daily gain targets, and indicates management areas that may require reevaluation, such as ration formulation. And of course, improving animal health overall. Regularly weighing cattle may help identify any underlying health issues at a very early stage. Underperforming animals who are failing to meet their growth targets can be easily identified and the investigation carried out to determine the cause. When you find an issue with an animal, it can be easily recorded on scales that have a note section. Then it becomes an alert for the next time you see the animal. And weighing cattle also allows for the accurate administration of drug treatments and veterinary treatments. This helps prevent any under or overdosing of animals, which is beneficial in minimizing the risk of antibiotic resistance occurring on the farm. Forecasting the optimum time for sale. Regular weighing of cattle aids in the timely selection for both sale or slaughter, helping to ensure that processor requirements are met. And by ensuring cattle meet this regular specification, farmers can minimize the likelihood of incurring penalties for producing overweight cattle. Increased accuracy of benchmarking and performance recording. EID technology allows animal performance to be linked back to their specific sire or dam, as an example, for progeny and pedigree. It's helping to highlight performance in genetic lines within a herd. This can be useful in terms of selecting replacement breeding stock, as an example. This performance data can also be used as a benchmarking tool, allowing factors such as cow efficiency to be expressed. The cow-calf producer influences the marketability of his cattle the day that he selects his breeding stock. While it's true that most any type of cattle can be sold at a price, the cattle producer should be raising the most profitable cattle, correct? Because really it's all about what does it cost me at the end of the day to raise an animal, and how profitable can it possibly be? There are many factors that determine the value of feeder calves, as an example. Some of these factors can be influenced through breeding, genetic programs, and some other programs that are tied to good management practices, such as breed, color, frame, average daily gain, muscling, preconditioning, the sex of the animal, and the vaccination records. All of this becomes part of the vital record that can be established for each and every animal. As an example on the breed of a calf can influence the prices of independent of grade. Certain breeds and breed types bring a higher price because of the perceptions by the order buyer as to how these breeds will perform in the feedlot, as an example. While these perceptions may or may not be correct, they do exist. And one way to get around the breed perceptions is to take advantage of breed association sponsored marketing programs, which requires lots of data. Crossbred calves have traditionally been in higher demand than purebred calves because of the advantage of a hybrid figure. Color can make an impact, frame can make an impact. The USDA has official grades for feeder cattle based on frame size, thickness, and thriftiness, overall health. The frame size refers to the animal's skeletal size, its height, its body length in relation to its age. All of this information can be recorded along with the weight alongside at the chute. Under normal feeding and management programs, an animal will produce a carcass of a given grade. Large frame animals require longer time in the feedlot, as an example, to reach a given grade, and will weigh more than a small framed animal would weigh at the same grade. Animals are assigned these three frame grades, large, medium, and small. And muscling is evaluated by looking at the thickness of the animal. Thickness in feeder cattle refers to the development of muscle system in relation to the skeletal and is the amount of muscling present in proportion to the bone and fat. Thicker muscled animals will always have and make leaner meat. And those four thicknesses and grades as they're being recorded are from 1 to 4. When we're preconditioning animals, there are programs that involve a series of management practices on the farm to improve the health and nutrition of calves. Preconditioning adds value to calves for buyers. And when preconditioned calves are marketed in a system that recognizes the value that's been added, cow-calf producers benefit from those higher prices. So then, how often should I weigh my animals, as an example? What we say is no more than every 2 weeks. If you do it more than 2 weeks, getting weights more often just kind of leads to more work and less accurate data. Plus the stress that it puts on your animals too. You need a little bit of time between to give it the animal the ability to create an average daily gain differential. The scales and EID systems that are available allow you to take an animal's overall weight gain and average, and then also it records the weight gain from the last weight session to the next weight session. So unless you're really trying to narrow it down to a group that is going to be tight in a weight class, more than less than 2 weeks is really not going to help you a whole lot. So, and then, it was fun. I was up in Nebraska here recently having a conversation with a farmer, and farmers, as vegetable farmers or any type of produce, they understand weighing is a vital part of their businesses. And but somehow we got on the subject of scales and EID systems, and I explained to him that many cattle producers don't even have a scale. And he looked at me in pure shock, and he said, how do you know how much to feed your cows that's based on weight? I went on to explain to him how oftentimes that, mature cows are not actually weighed on a regular basis. And about halfway through that, me making excuses for farmers and producers for these poor management practices, he stopped me and he said, why do cattlemen base a huge part of their herd's management off of an educated guess? And I couldn't agree more. I said, I fight this all the time. And there's been a movement across the country that weighing animals is definitely a good thing to do. And I said, for the cattle industry, it's common practice to use a lot of estimates and rule of thumbs and to guide decisions. But in other fields of agriculture and most any other form of business, I think you would all agree that precision evaluation of profitability and cost of goods and cost of feed, cost of everything needs to be measured to get the maximum efficiency of your product or your animal set. Pounds are critical. It's a critical measurement in the cattle industry. Cattle producers get paid by the pound, and all the feed and commodities are bought by the pound. The pound is the primary indicator of performance. While cattle producers often think in pounds on a daily basis, mature cows' weights are frequently estimated determined by a scale. Taking the time to weigh your mature animals and your mature cows has a significant impact on the ability to fine-tune your herd's management strategies. And while many producers feel that they are accurate enough at guessing a mature cow weight, maybe some are, but most aren't, right? We've done lots of research across the country and taken cows and put them up on a screen. And we did this at a recent NCBA prom event that we were at, and hundreds of people put their weights in the jar, and it just was so interesting to find that even the ones that had been in the cattle business for years were way off, way off. It was one young lady who actually guessed the weight to be as close as, she guessed it within 3 pounds. But it was interesting to see that some were just way off, and then some were right in the middle of the bell curve, and then some were way over the animal's weight. Let's face it, with today's genetics and phenotypes, the 1,100-pound cows are about as common as a unicorn in West Texas. Taking the time to weigh a mature cow gives the producer the opportunity to fine-tune their management strategies. There are a plethora of reasons why mature cows should be weighed on a regular basis, but here's a few other reasons to consider on that. Stocking rate. And I run into this issue a lot with folks that are doing intensive grazing across the country and trying to maximize their properties with the ability to put cows and cow pairs out. And and really utilize what's available to them. But cattle producers are working overtime to manage these costs. And so optimizing carrying capacity on a range or a pasture is critical to managing fixed costs such as land. And therefore, when calculating the land's AUM, or animal unit month, equals feed required for a 1,000-pound cow and her calf up to 6 months for a month. And to determine that carrying capacity, over or underestimating mature cow weight can dramatically impact your stocking rate. For example, if you assume that your mature cow is 1,100 pounds, when in fact you are running 1,300-pound cows, you would be overstocking your grazing lands. Therefore, on the flip side, if you're underestimating by just 100 pounds, for every 11 or 12 head, you could add an additional animal unit to your stocking rate. The bottom line is that when it comes to stocking rates, having an accurate weight on your mature animal herd is critical. In addition to that, performance records are absolutely vital for the value of your animals and to understand exactly what's going on with all the animals. The majority of all performance records that are kept on a cow-calf producer by cow-calf producers are based off of weight. And in most cases, producers are able to easily collect weight records for calves, whether these are coming from individual weights or by sale day averages. These weights are critical in determining the overall performance of your herd. However, they must be tied back to the mature cow weight to determine the overall efficiency. For example, when you are looking at a weaning weight, one might assume that the herd that averaged 600 pounds on their steers was a superior to a herd that averaged 525 pounds. But however, when you take into consideration that the 525-pound calves were weaned off of a 1,200-pound cow versus a 600-pound calf that came off of a 1,600-pound cow, and yeah, they're out there, the overall efficiency of the two herds is dramatically different. Ideally, individual cow weights would be collected so that the percent of body weight weaned can be determined, but having an accurate mature herd average is better than an estimate, if you'd all agree with that. Calculating animal performance is often what comes to mind, but having inaccurate weights of animals also makes it difficult to track the performance of the range and the pasture lands that we are managing. So knowing the number of pounds per month that a pasture can support, it would allow us to properly stock and evaluate for forage production. For most herds, fertilizer and feed are the two largest animal costs, and lately they have been high. If a producer is not able to determine the total pounds of cattle that an acre is supporting per month, investments in that fertilizer cannot be managed. And lastly, let's see here, let's go back one more here, drug dosage. Whether you are treating foot rot or administering some type of dewormer to your herd, you are calculating your dosages based on body weight, right? Because typically the rule of thumb is that it is to guess the body weight of an animal. It used to be, and I know people that do this, they'll guess the body weight and then they'll add like 300 pounds and round up the dose accordingly. However, this is far from the best management practice. In the case of dewormers, underdosing cattle is leading to drug resistance. The parasites are exposed to the drug, but however, not at a rate high enough to kill them. This creates resistance, and the most susceptible parasites are dying, while more resistant ones are surviving and reproducing. In addition, we've seen research that has shown that overdosing does not result in increased control either. It's just a waste of money. The same theory applies to anything antibiotic dosing, anything that's given to the animal that's applied by weight or otherwise. Just like your doctor, I mean, they stress that you need to take all of the bottle of antibiotic. Don't stop short. It is critical that we are dosing our cattle for the right weight. Underdosing will allow the pathogen that we are treating to be exposed to lower levels over a period of time. And this too can decrease the effectiveness of the treatment. So it's important to really think through this stuff and really understand that the equipment that's available to you out there in the world is going to allow you to dose by weight, keep track of the record, be compliant if you need to be. It's really, really easy to do this stuff. I mean, we used to write it down on a piece of wood or in a book or whatever we might have and turn it in. And, I talked to a lot of cow-calf operations or producers that walk into a booth that we're displaying our equipment in, and the wife comes up and she says, this is for me, not him. He's he's running cattle. I need to get the information back into the system, and I want it done right. I want it done accurately, because he seems to write things down backwards, and you know how much chaos that causes. I have to say that over the years, I think I've saved a couple of marriages in the process, just because we had a system that can allow them to gather all that data and get it into a format that they can analyze and use over time. So Gallagher has some solutions for you. We've been in the scale and EID business for nearly about 25 years, actually. And while today the technology is catching up quickly with the internet and most producers that I talk to across the countries, they say, I want something that I can see on my phone. I want to be able to take information and go out into the field and pair up my cows and calves together, or I want to make an observation that gets to the animal's record. So we've been working really hard to develop software that integrates with our hardware. So our scales are very simple to use. They are very basic, all the way up to some very complicated, but yet I don't want to say it's complicated. It's easy to use, but they have the ability to track a lot more data for those who like to do that. And you don't have to be a whiz at Excel or anything else like that. The software does all the work for you. You set it up and we help you get all through all that and get your initial startup going. We evaluate all the data that you've got already recorded and we import it in. And so it's easy to add new information to old information if you want. At the end of the day, the technology is caught up to the point of now we have wireless load bars. You don't have cords anymore. You just simply turn on your phone and it connects to your phone, and you can now have a scale on your phone as well. You can also use a reader with your phone and a wireless load bar set, all the way up to units that record lots of data and then output it in a way that you can look at it, analyze it, print it, send it down the road, email it to anybody, and it gives you all kinds of great options. We're here to help you. We're here to help you put things together. Take the stigma of this equipment and this weighing being such a pain. It's easy to do, and it takes very little investment to get it right. And then we ask you what you want to know. We make it as simple as you want it or as complicated as you want to have it. But at the end of the day, you are now measuring your herd in a way that is something that will definitely earn you more money. It's more profitable at the end of the day. What does it cost me to earn? What does it cost me to grow my animals? So why are you waiting? Just step out, weigh your animals. You start to find that the results are amazingly helpful to you and your operation. So I would like to ask for some questions and be happy to answer. And I'll give you some information in a moment here where you can get a hold of us if you have any questions after the piece or want to get a hold of us after. So, Josh?
Sure, yeah, we've got a couple in here, and just a reminder, you can hit that question box and tab on your computer and add your question in here as well. One of the questions that came to mind as you were showing that picture, and maybe go back to that last photo, Ray,
There we go.
that has the equipment on it. That,
Yeah.
seeing the app-based information, I guess maybe share a little bit about, if a producer is utilizing EID and some of these technologies, have you guys moved more to app-based? I know the older set of equipment I've got, at my place, it's all, read it out and write it down,
Right.
kind of a
Yeah.
deal, like you were talking about earlier. But maybe just share a little of the newer stuff or where you're headed.
Yeah. So as we've evolved our scale equipment, we've listened to producers all over the world that say, I want to see this on my phone or on my computer. I want my equipment to be easy to operate and able to get information into it at shoot side. And we're one of the very few companies that are integrating our hardware to talk to software and or applications on your phone or on your computer. So what it enables us to do, and we've been working on this for quite a while now, but we're fairly new to the software business at this point. But what we've learned is that we have developed a platform that we continually improve on. And we have two different types of software. One is free and one is paid subscription. And the paid subscription piece is one that allows you to do more within the app itself and see more information and use other pieces of equipment. So if you're just getting started out, I mean, we don't want to overcomplicate the fact that you can have just a basic scale and you can still write it down if you want to. But as you evolve, these other features can be unlocked for you and utilized where you can capture more data at shoot side and input it into the scale and yeah, create customized traits, customized activities that you might be doing. And of course, it'll capture all of your life data that you do. And then as you are scrolling through or riding a horse in your field, whatever you're doing, you can look up an animal data and check on it and see what you see and add more information to it. And it synchronizes to the entire system. So the reader and the scale completely synchronize with the computer in the cloud version. And what's also wonderful about this stuff is that if you're using CattleMax or Cattle Pro or any of the other third-party cattle management programs, we can come out of our system with a CSV file and import it right into their system. So you don't have to give up those other programs if you're comfortable with those as well. But I think that just playing well with others and having the ability to transfer data back and forth between different entities is really smart, and it gives us the ability to really accommodate just about any operation of any size.
Yeah, so you answered my follow-up was going to be how this might integrate with other record-keeping systems or other
Yeah,
management systems. So
yeah.
yeah, that was well explained. What I know that we had a webinar, I think it was last spring, where we did a grazing technology webinar with several different farmers, ranchers, and I think we had a Gallagher rep on there, if I'm remembering correctly, that was talking about the ability to control your fencers from
Hmm.
a phone as well. Are those sort of standalone deals, or is there one sort of Gallagher hub that lets you access, all of the different technology that you might have on the farm related to
Right.
Gallagher if you're using a fencer too?
Well, we are certainly heading that way. We don't have a hub for all things yet, but that is definitely in the plan. We want to have a way for you to control your fencer and flick over to your animal data and maybe your watering system. You have some controls or some measurement on that, but have it all in one piece in one place. But right now, the fencing app is a standalone, and in a nutshell, it allows you to monitor your energizer from afar, anywhere, and you can control it off and on. You can turn it off and on if you want to, and measure the voltage that is reading on the system. And if it does have a fault, if there is a breach or something happens, you'll get an alarm or a text that says there's a problem. You can look at it quickly and then dispatch somebody to go out and look at it. And we've got stories about people that have gotten an alert in the middle of the night and gone out and found the short with special remotes that we carry that allow you to test the fence anywhere and then turn it off wherever you're at. One particular example was one where the cattle were on the side of a highway, and the fence had been destroyed with some predator that had come through, or actually it was a deer collision, excuse me, a deer had come through the fence line. But before the animals even realized the fence was down, the farmer was able to go out and fix it because he had this alert system in place. So it's powerful, and it's wonderful to have that and to be able to track that information quickly on your phone.
Great. There's a lot of talk around now about collecting more data and behavioral information about cattle.
Yeah.
Just wondering if there's anything. I know a lot of this stuff is still under development out there, but just curious if you guys are moving into any of that. What's your some of that has to do with weighing animals, when they're at maybe a feed trough or a water trough, or just integrating it more into behavior versus having to get the cattle up to weigh them or putting it under a chute.
Right.
Just curious if you guys are working on any solutions in that realm.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at different opportunities like that where half weights can be calculated with, let's say, a mobile system similar to GrowSafe as an example. But in a little simpler situation where you can have some mineral or water or something like that, and the animal walks up to it, the EID tag is registered and the system records the animal. But also when the animal is halfway on the platform, they don't have to have the back feet on. There's an algorithm that allows them to calculate the animal's actual weight. I mean, it's within 95% or better of the animal's weight. And so pasture management, pasture weighing is definitely on the horizon. And I mean, we're definitely working on that right now as we speak.
Great. Yeah, that's something I think will be a real solution for producers in these extensive operations. I'm going to make a few comments here, share a few things that are coming up from our team, and see if any other questions come in. We'll be happy to take those. Let me just click over here. Just wanted to remind everyone we have another webinar coming up with several speakers talking about controlling parasites. We did one of these that was very focused on feed yard last year. It's super popular, had a couple of different speakers on than we'll have this time. So I know, man, it's a battle out there with external parasites and internal, and Central Life sponsoring that for us. So be sure to mark your calendar for June 2nd. We also, hopefully you've seen the information about our stockmanship and stewardship tour that's going on. Actually, tomorrow we kick things off in Blacksburg, Virginia. So if you're in the Southeast and can get to Blacksburg tomorrow and Saturday, I know we're pushing 150 folks attending down there, and would love to have you join us. You can go to stockmanshipandstewardship.org for more information on that. And then here in just a few weeks, middle of June, June 16th to 18th, we'll have an event in Leavenworth, Kansas. And then later this summer, mid-August, we'll be in Auburn, Alabama. And then we're also planning a virtual stockmanship event. We did this a few years ago during COVID, and we had well over 1,000 attendees. It was really spectacular. So we'll be doing that in November, when hopefully everybody has a big bounty crop of corn already harvested and calves sold, and is ready to get on a virtual event. So lots of stuff going on with our team and partners around the country trying to help farmers and ranchers out. Going back, let me flip back over to my question bar here. And I did have a question earlier. If you're on a phone or you're not fully watching all of this, I know some people call in to listen. Yes, we are recording this. We'll post it up like we typically do. We'll notify everyone that was not able to join tonight that was registered as well, so they can catch the recording. Any other thoughts, Ray? I don't have another technical question coming in here, but happy to let you have the last word if you have any thoughts.
No, and I'm so happy that we were given this opportunity to talk with everyone. And gosh, if you have any other questions about Gallagher or any of our products and anything regarding what we talked about tonight, just give us a call anytime. And our
You
number,
want me to go, you want me
yeah,
to go back to your
yeah,
contact
that would be
slide
great.
real
Yeah,
quick?
if you
Okay,
don't mind.
sure. See if we can get that done right quick.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, easy to get hold of us. We're on our website at am.gallagher.com. Give us a call at the 800-531-5908 and reach out to me personally. Happy to answer your questions and discuss what's optional or what the options are and what makes sense to you and your operation to make things happen for you in a way in an EID situation or anything fencing related. We're happy to help in any way we can. We've got a great team of trained technicians and support personnel, and our all of our territory managers in the field are experts in their field as well. And so reach out to us anytime. We're happy to help.
All right. Well, thanks again for the great update and some new info, new technology coming out there, and of course the tried and true stuff really works well too.
Yes.
Like I mentioned earlier, I'm happy to have a fencer that works great from you guys and has been a workhorse for me. So appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing everybody out on the road, hopefully at one of those stockmanship events this summer. And have a great evening. Thanks, everyone.